Last time on Hasta, Alaska, we came down from the Arctic and gave our little Kombi adventure-mobile some much-needed TLC and embarked on an exceptionally good adventure at sea. This time, we're off on a road trip adventure around the magical Kenai Peninsula to discover what kind of fun we can have on a budget. The Kenai Peninsula, for those of you that don't know, is one of the best places to explore in Alaska. Located just south of Anchorage, this peninsula is an adventurer's playground. Covered with national parks and forests to explore, blessed with mountains and glaciers, and dotted with beautiful lakes and tiny towns to discover, it is easy to see why Kenai attracts so many visitors to Alaska.
I've been coming to Alaska now for 4 summers. The thing that draws me to Alaska is the fact that once you've been up here, no matter what you see anywhere else, it's never going to compare again. We've been all over the lower 48, I've been overseas, but once you're up here, once you experience the people, the landscapes, the wildlife, nothing ever compares.
Chris and his partner G create a lot of videos about alternative living for their YouTube channels, and also about their adventures in Alaska. So we went to the town of Seward to hang out with him and get some golden advice about where we could camp for free and what there was to do around the Kenai Peninsula.
My favorite thing about Alaska is the overall atmosphere. If you include the people, the landscape. When I first got here, I didn't think people were going to be as friendly and open as they are. And then you combine that with how absolutely gorgeous every turn is. Like when you go down the road, you turn the corner, it's a postcard. Turn the corner again, there's another postcard. Like it's just absolutely gorgeous. Just the overall atmosphere and the overall way of life here.
We're here at the exit glacier in Seward. We only walked less than a mile to get here, and you can reach the bottom of the glacier, which is quite cool.
Look at it.
It's massive.
Beautiful.
As people were approaching the glacier, we quickly found out that the area was closed.
You're not really allowed to be here. You're not allowed to touch it.
And for good reason.
When traveling around glacier environments, you want to be really careful around changing glaciers. So exit glacier and all glaciers move downhill, and so they constant state of motion, which can lead to crevasses opening, ice changing. Good example right down there is an ice cave collapse that happened just yesterday. So you want to be really careful approaching or wanting to touch ice because you never know when it can give way. So please be really careful.
Let's go exploring. One of the great things about summer in Alaska is there's free food everywhere. So we are heading out now to Bear Lake to try and see if we can scramble together a free dinner.
Got ourselves a wild berry book, so we know not to pick poisonous berries. And we're also going mushroom hunting, which we've never done before. So
we've been doing a little bit of research. This is not the sort of thing you can do without knowing what you're doing. So we're going to pick only the mushroom species that are easily identifiable and not easily confused with other more dangerous species, and we'll be checking them against all the criteria as we find them, if we find them.
found our favourite type, my favourite type of mushrooms. I don't know what they're called, but they're really cool. Look at this. Aren't they cool?
What would you call them if you had to name them?
Puffy mushrooms.
Puffy mushroom?
Yeah. They puff like a chimney. There are so many types of different mushrooms here. This one looks like it's coral. It feels like a mushroom, but looks like it should be under the sea. Oh, it smells horrible.
Does it?
Yes. I don't think this is edible.
This one's not edible. Looks like some kind of conch, possibly a tinder conch. These were used originally, or back in the day, to transport fire, as the name suggests, tinder conch, so you could take fire from one camp to another. It's pretty cool. Very hard. Can't imagine it'd be very good to eat. Yum.
There are so many different types of blueberries around here. These particular blueberries are called early blueberries, and they are found all down the southern coast of Alaska. They usually come out in late July and last until August, and they're good for eating raw or jams or dessert.
Oh yeah, save a few for the food. There's so many of these things, like, and they're big, beautiful. Why would you pay $5 a pound when you can just pick them in a matter of minutes?
These red berries are everywhere here, and they're really distinct looking. Luckily, because they're very, very poisonous, they're called Devil's Club. Very poisonous.
Go on, give it a lick.
Don't even want to touch it.
Another berry that grows prolifically up here in Alaska in the summer is the cranberry. I've only ever had cranberries in juice form or dried form, so this is the first time I've seen a fresh cranberry. Oh my god! That is tart. Holy cow! Seriously? I think they need to be cooked. So we've got our berries and we've got a bunch of mushrooms. We've got the makings of a decent Alaskan meal, but we're missing one thing. We're in Alaska, it's summertime. I think you can guess what it is. You are coming with me, fishy.
We decided to make a blueberry sauce with the salmon today from the blueberries that we picked today. So we're just adding red wine and sugar to make a sauce. And hopefully it will taste nice with the salmon.
One of the main reasons we live off-grid and on the move is for days like this. Dinner is served.
Thank you. Look at my hands. Blueberry hands.
Buen provecho.
Yummy. Blueberries go really well on salmon.
Especially when they're all caught in one day. On this journey, we've enjoyed well over 1,000 free camp spots like this. It's simple living and we love it.
There is no shortage of camp spots on the Kenai Peninsula, but we prefer to hunt for our own, more secluded locations to set up camp.
Morning sunshine. No, literally, there's morning sunshine.
This camp spot costs nothing. The fish that we caught in the river, nothing. Free salmon, free mushrooms that we picked. This is free living. I love Alaska. Met a guy in the forest who was also looking for these boletes, and he couldn't identify some of the other mushrooms we had either. So we are going to leave those ones and just stick with the boletes for safety reasons, safety first. He says that he tends to cut off the gills because underneath they have like this kind of spongy section, not the typical mushrooms you'd see in a supermarket. So he cuts this out, so you're left with more of that kind of hollow shape, and that also helps clean them up. So we're just field dressing our mushrooms now, making sure there's not too many bugs, and then we're going to make something delicious with it later.
With the wild bolete that we picked today, we're going to make a mushroom risotto, wild mushroom risotto. So we're just going to saute some onions, garlic, got some chicken stock going, and we're going to use some arboreal rice. So with these mushrooms, we were told that when you cut them and they turn blue, that they're not so good to eat. So we just cut these a few hours ago and some of them turned blue, so we are not risking this. Good, bad. So we've just added the rice with the mushrooms and the onions, and the next step is to slowly add the chicken stock into the rice. So it's 1 cup at a time until it absorbs, and that's it. It's going to be delicious.
Fingers crossed we don't die.
No, I'm not going to die.
You're the best, Leah. Fingers crossed this isn't the last video coming from Kombi Life. Verdict?
Really good. Wild mushrooms are yummy. Hopefully we don't get sick.
Damn, this is really good. Leah, if we don't die from this, we can definitely cook this again.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Just kidding. We're still alive.
It was delicious.
Homer, Alaska's most distinguishing feature is by far its famous spit. A narrow gravel bar that extends almost 5 miles, making it the longest road extending into ocean waters in the entire world. And you know how we feel about anything with the title Longest Road.
Homer is also the self-proclaimed halibut fishing capital of the world. And it attracts countless tourists hoping to land a record-breaking trophy catch in these waters. Even if you don't have a boat, it's also a great place to cast a line in from the beach.
Throughout Alaska, I've been trying to land a decent salmon on our dinner table, most of the time without much luck. But here in Homer, my luck changed. Spent days fishing and not catching anything. I hear you.
It was worth running up and down the
Yeah, totally.
pond.
Chase the fish up and down. That's what you got to do, not stand still. Feeling pretty happy about that.
Other than fishing, Homer has a growing community of artists, hippies, and otherwise welcoming individuals. And even has an interesting historic pub. The famous Salty Dog Saloon, with probably the most expensive wallpaper on the planet. The Salty Dog is definitely a landmark here on Homer Spit, and controversially, so is this.
My name's Cassiar O'Neill now, but it was cousins. And I grew up on a boathouse in Homer, Alaska. My Dad wanted to start an old wooden boat museum. And they were set up differently, but then when we had that huge surge of water, it lifted everything and moved it and set things down awkwardly.
Wow, what a cool place. And the cousins have a truly fascinating story. The family of 8, yes, 8, have certainly lived an alternative lifestyle. Some of the children were even born on the road. Literally.
We bought an old Greyhound bus and turned it into a motorhome. When we traveled across the country, we made it part of a day of leaving Maine, and my sister was born in the bus on the side of the road.
The family eventually got this World War II boat and hand-milled the wood from logs so they could build this extraordinary tiny home.
We bought it when I was about 12 maybe, and it was full of mud, just thick slimy mud, and we spent months probably cleaning it out, scraping it out, filling in the hull to float it over here on the biggest tide of the year. And we bought a sawmill and a bunch of logs, and we shaved them and milled them, put the beams up here, and our whole family helped. We didn't hire anybody, and so we had everyone swinging hammers, and all the kids were working.
For a long time, this houseboat had been abandoned, and we were lucky enough to pass just as the children from the family were returning to once again make this boat a home. This large and unusual structure, placed so prominently in such a touristic area, isn't something that is treasured by everyone. However, we think it's pretty cool. What we like more than the boat was the people who built it. We could relate to the cousins and their story, and we enjoyed spending time with them and sharing these moments together.
Homo is also known as the end of the road because it is the end of the road in the Kenai Peninsula, but it isn't quite the end of the road for us. Alaska has one more adventure in store for us, but for that, you'll have to wait until next time.